Hi guys! Have you ever been scrolling on Pinterest and seen those beautiful ads from the 60s and 70s showcasing Black women? Or maybe scrolling on Instagram and seen a current marketing ad that moved you? I have, and I absolutely love them. Today we're going to dive into them and, of course, Black women's influence. Let's go! Marketing in the 1950s was far more than simply selling products. It was about selling an ideal version of the American dream. Following World War II, the United States experienced unprecedented economic growth, suburban expansion, and a consumer spending boom that fundamentally reshaped the advertising industry. Companies realized that they were no longer just competing on the quality of their products, they were competing on the lifestyles and aspirations attached to them. Advertisements promised consumers happiness, status, beauty, and social acceptance through consumption. To marketers, the ideal customer was not simply someone with money to spend, but someone who embodied the post-war vision of America: white, middle class, heterosexual, suburban, and family-oriented. Consequently, Black people were largely excluded from the marketing and advertising industry in the 1950s, with little to no representation in mainstream advertising campaigns. The quintessential consumer was often portrayed as the white housewife, whose role as the household purchaser made her one of the most sought-after demographics in advertising, or the white male breadwinner who symbolized economic success and purchasing power. Marketing campaigns for everything from Coca-Cola to Camel cigarettes to Chrysler's to Maybelline Cosmetics were carefully designed around this narrow image of American life. Television commercials and magazine ads featured smiling nuclear families gathered around dinner tables, and in prosperous suburban neighborhoods, they represented what corporations believed America should look like. This continued until the 1960s, which marked one of the most significant turning points in American marketing because corporations could no longer afford to pretend that the American consumer was exclusively white. The decade was defined by the civil rights movement, desegregation, and growing Black political and economic power, all of which forced advertisers to rethink who belonged in the American marketplace. Marketing began shifting from selling a singular vision of the American dream to acknowledging that America itself was becoming more visible and diverse. While white, middle-class consumers remained the industry's primary target, advertisers slowly started to recognize Black Americans as an untapped and profitable market. This wasn't necessarily the result of a sudden commitment to social justice, rather it was a business decision driven by economics and change. Black Americans had always possessed purchasing power, but integration made their spending habits impossible for corporations to ignore. Black consumers earned an estimated $27 billion annually by 1963, equivalent to hundreds of billions of dollars today, and their spending power continued to grow throughout the decade. Despite segregation and economic discrimination, Black families were purchasing homes, automobiles, televisions, clothing, and beauty products at increasing rates. Advertisers also discovered that Black consumers were highly brand loyal when companies made the effort to market to them authentically. As the Black middle class expanded during the civil rights era, corporations realized they were leaving billions of dollars on the table by excluding Black Americans from their advertising campaigns. This economic reality helped pave the way for multicultural marketing and the inclusion of Black consumers in mainstream advertising. Major companies began placing advertisements in Black publications such as Ebony and Jet, creating separate campaigns specifically tailored to Black consumers. For the first time, Black families and professionals were appearing in advertisements not as servants or stereotypes, but as consumers deserving of products and lifestyles similar to their white counterparts. The 1960s was also the emergence of Black women as influential voices within the advertising industry itself. As the civil rights movement challenged racial barriers across American institutions, Black women began breaking into a field that had long been dominated by white men. Pioneers helped transform the way corporations thought about Black consumers by arguing that they deserved more than token representation in ads. Thus, Black women were not only being marketed to, they were helping shape the messages and strategies that would define American advertising for decades to come. By the 1970s, another major cultural shift in marketing occurred as the Black is Beautiful movement challenged Eurocentric beauty standards and celebrated Black identity, fashion, and natural features. What began as a social and political movement quickly influenced the advertising world, forcing brands to recognize that Black consumers wanted to see themselves represented authentically rather than through stereotypes or even assimilationist imagery. Companies began featuring Black models more prominently and marketing products that catered specifically to Black consumers, especially in the beauty and hair care industries. The movement also encouraged brands to portray Black people as confident and aspirational consumers, helping to redefine what beauty and luxury could look like in American marketing. While representation was still limited, the Black is Beautiful movement laid the foundation for future marketing campaigns that celebrated Black culture instead of ignoring or diminishing it. Through all these changes, Black women were found to be a central aspect of marketing. Let's look at some pioneers in detail. Carol H. Williams is one of the most successful Black women in advertising and a pioneer in multicultural marketing. She first gained recognition while working at the advertising agency Leo Burnett, where she created iconic slogans such as Pillsbury's "Say Hello to Poppin' Fresh Dough" and Secret Deodorant's famous tagline, "Strong enough for a man, but made for a woman." In 1986, she founded Carol H. Williams Advertising, which became the longest-running independent Black-owned advertising agency in the U.S. Throughout her career, Williams has helped major brands to better understand and market to diverse audiences, proving that multicultural consumers are not niche markets, but essential drivers of American consumer culture. Eunice W. Johnson was a trailblazing businesswoman and marketing visionary who helped redefine how Black consumers were represented in American advertising. As the co-founder of Ebony magazine and producer of the renowned Ebony Fashion Fair, she created one of the most influential platforms for marketing to Black audiences during the 20th century. At a time when mainstream magazines largely ignored Black consumers, Ebony provided corporations with one of the few opportunities to advertise directly to affluent and middle-class Black households. Companies eager to reach Black consumers purchased advertising space in the magazine, allowing brands to market everything from automobiles and cosmetics to household products and luxury goods in culturally relevant ways. Through Ebony, Johnson helped demonstrate that Black consumers possessed significant buying power and deserved to see themselves reflected in advertising. She further championed Black luxury and beauty through the Ebony Fashion Fair, which showcased Black models wearing haute couture fashions, and by launching Fashion Fair Cosmetics in 1973. One of the first prestige makeup lines created specifically for women of color, expanding opportunities for Black representation in fashion and beauty. Carolyn Robinson Jones was one of the most influential Black women in advertising history, and is often credited with helping pioneer multicultural marketing in America. Breaking barriers in the 1960s and 70s, she became the first Black woman vice president of a major American advertising agency, and spent her entire career convincing corporations that Black consumers were a valuable and sophisticated market. Jones developed marketing campaigns that authentically represented Black audiences and challenged the industry's restricted view of the ideal consumer. Throughout her career, she worked with major companies such as American Express, Anheuser-Busch, Sears, General Foods, Kraft, Toys R Us, and New York Telephone, helping pave the way for the diverse and culturally informed marketing strategies that are commonplace today. Some of her most famous work includes inventing the line, "We do chicken right" for KFC, and "Food is love" for Campbell's Soup. Now, I know we're talking about women, but I couldn't help but throw Mr. Johnson in here because of how admirable his career is. I've become so fascinated by him since doing research for this video. Georgie Johnson revolutionized marketing by being one of the first entrepreneurs to unapologetically center Black consumers, particularly Black beauty, in his advertising. Through his company, Johnson Products, he launched Afro Sheen in the late 1960s as the first nationally distributed cosmetic and hair care lines created specifically for Black people wearing their hair naturally. At a time when most major brands ignored Black consumers or encouraged them to conform to Eurocentric beauty standards, Afro Sheen celebrated the Afro as both fashionable and professional. Johnson's marketing campaigns prominently featured dark-skinned Black models with natural hairstyles, directly aligning with the Black is Beautiful movement of the 1970s. He also became the first Black-owned company to sponsor a nationally syndicated television program, Soul Train, using the show to market Afro Sheen to millions of viewers. By connecting his brand to Black music and self-expression, Johnson helped prove that Black consumers were not only a profitable market, but also trendsetters whose aesthetics deserved to be celebrated in mainstream advertising. His success fundamentally changed how companies approached multicultural marketing and Black consumer audiences. Barbara Gardner Proctor was a pioneering advertising executive who became the first Black woman to own and operate a major advertising agency in the United States when she founded Proctor & Gardner Advertising in 1970. Throughout her career, she advocated for ethical and authentic representation in marketing, refusing to create ads that demeaned Black people or women. In fact, she was fired from an advertising agency after refusing to work on a commercial that mocked the civil rights movement, a decision that ultimately inspired her to start her own firm. Proctor built her agency into one of the largest Black-owned advertising agencies in the country, securing major clients such as Kraft Foods, Sears, and Jewel Food stores. Her work demonstrated that Black consumers were sophisticated, valuable members of the marketplace and helped push the advertising agency into more inclusive and culturally conscious marketing practices. The pioneering work of Black marketing executives and businesswomen throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s fundamentally changed the advertising industry by the time the 1990s and early 2000s arrived. Companies had learned two important lessons. Black consumers represented enormous buying power, and Black culture had tremendous influence over mainstream American taste. What began as corporations cautiously placing advertisements in Black publications had evolved into brands actively seeking to capture the aesthetics, trends, and cultural capital that Black communities created. Marketing in the 1990s and 2000s became increasingly driven by multicultural appeal, with advertisers recognizing that Black consumers were often early adopters and tastemakers in beauty, fashion, music, and even entertainment. Black women in particular emerged as cultural architects whose preferences frequently dictated what would become mainstream. From glossy lips and luxury streetwear to beauty standards that embraced fuller figures and elaborate hairstyles, trends popularized by Black women began appearing in national ad campaigns. Brands were no longer simply marketing to Black consumers, they were marketing Black culture itself. Kimora Lee Simmons revolutionized early 2000s marketing through baby fat by introducing a glamorous, feminine take on streetwear that centered Black women and multicultural consumers. At a time when hip-hop fashion was largely marketed towards men, Simmons created an aspirational lifestyle brand that blended luxury, femininity, and urban culture. Her marketing campaigns featured diverse models, celebrity influence, and a Black girl luxury aesthetic that would later become commonplace in fashion and beauty advertising. Baby fat proved that Black women's style and cultural influence could drive mainstream consumer trends and help shape the luxury streetwear movement of the 2000s. Valerie Graves' influence on marketing extended beyond campaigns created specifically for Black consumers, as she helped demonstrate how culturally informed advertising could connect with broader audiences. Throughout her career, she shaped mainstream American advertising by creating campaigns that resonated with consumers across different backgrounds. She describes one of her greatest achievements as being selected for the national advertising team for Bill Clinton's first presidential campaign, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that showcased her creative talents on a national stage. Later, as Senior Vice President and Chief Creative Officer at Uniworld Group, one of the nation's leading Black-owned advertising agencies, Graves led campaigns for major brands including General Motors, Ford, AT&T, Pepsi, Bank of America, and Gatorade. Her creative work included celebrity-driven campaigns featuring Ludacris for Pontiac and Steve Harvey for Burger King, demonstrating how Black culture, talent, and storytelling could create campaigns with widespread appeal. Graves helped advance the idea that multicultural marketing was not simply about reaching specific communities, but about bringing diverse perspectives into advertising to create messages that connected with the larger American consumer market. Her career reflects how Black women were not only shaping representation in advertising, but also influencing the future direction of mainstream marketing itself. All of these pioneers helped lay the foundation for the way marketing operates today. Today, many marketing strategies, from inclusive beauty campaigns to influencer partnerships, reflect the lasting impact of their contributions and the cultural influence of Black consumers, especially Black women. In today's digital landscape, social media has transformed the relationship between brands and Black consumers by giving Black creators and communities a direct role in shaping brand conversations. Platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube have allowed Black consumers to quickly identify trends, promote products, and hold companies accountable for representation. Brands now frequently collaborate with Black influencers and creators because they recognize the trust and influence these voices hold within their communities. Thus, marketing to Black audiences today often goes beyond simply featuring Black faces in ads. It requires understanding of cultural context, supporting Black creativity, and creating campaigns that feel authentic rather than performative. Bozoma St. John is a marketing executive whose work is important because she changed the way some of the world's biggest brands connect with consumers by making marketing more culturally aware and emotionally driven. Throughout her career at PepsiCo, Apple Music, Uber, and Netflix, she helped companies understand that consumers are not just buying products, they are buying into stories and experiences. St. John's marketing career is defined by her ability to blend pop culture, celebrity influence, and brand storytelling. At PepsiCo, she helped secure and execute a $50 million partnership with Beyoncé that included the 2013 Super Bowl halftime show, one of the company's most successful celebrity collaborations. At Apple Music, she led the marketing campaign for a commercial featuring Kerry Washington, Taraji P. Henson, and Mary J. Blige that helped launch the streaming service by highlighting music as a cultural and personal experience. As Uber's chief brand officer, she worked to rebuild the company's reputation by developing campaigns that humanized the brand and highlighted the experiences of its drivers. More recently, she has brought her marketing expertise to television as a co-host of NBC's On Brand with Jimmy Fallon, where she mentors contestants as they create marketing campaigns for real-world brands. She has also demonstrated her marketing expertise by strategically building her own personal brand. By joining the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, she expanded her visibility beyond the corporate world, introducing herself to a broader audience and positioning herself as both a marketing executive and a public personality. Amélie Ebongay is a French marketing executive and cultural strategist known for her work at the intersection of luxury fashion and diversity. She has built a career helping global brands create more inclusive and culturally relevant marketing campaigns while advocating for greater representation within the fashion and beauty industries. Ebongay's digital marketing career centers on content strategy, global market entry, and leveraging short-form video algorithms. Working with agency Auditoire, she led the high-impact digital rollout for the Huawei P20 Pro smartphone in France. Creatively timing her activation with football star Antoine Griezmann right as the French national team won the World Cup. She also designed the commercial blueprints that successfully launched global media powerhouses Forbes and Hypebeast into the French market, aligning streetwear culture and business media with local advertisers. As a brand marketing manager at Electronic Arts, she directed community-driven digital campaigns for the global Need for Speed franchise to bridge video game culture with Gen Z audiences. Additionally, she leveraged the publication of her best-selling book, Generation TikTok, to run an international thought leadership campaign, positioning herself as a premier advisor on how brands can navigate organic social media algorithms. Jada Waiter is a social media entrepreneur and influencer who has leveraged her personal brand into a successful marketing platform. Whether or not you like her, you can't deny that she has a strong influence on her followers. Through strategic use of social media, she has built a loyal consumer base and collaborated with major brands, demonstrating the power of influencer marketing and direct-to-consumer branding in the digital age. She executes an intentional direct-to-consumer marketing playbook, anchored in scarcity-driven capsule drops, experiential activations, and hyper-transparent digital storytelling. Rejecting standard retail models, she creates massive product demand by utilizing a drop model for her brand, Wait a Minute, where exclusive capsule collections are marketed heavily on social media and sell out in minutes due to artificial scarcity. Rather than hiding behind a corporate veneer, she pioneered the accessible luxury aesthetic by toggling her content between aspirational high fashion vlogs and unfiltered behind-the-scenes footage of her physically working alongside staff in her warehouse. To bridge the digital divide and foster deep consumer loyalty, she leans into physical experiential marketing, partnering with Shopify for multi-day consumer pop-up events in major hubs like New York City, giving fans direct access to interact with her while shopping. Furthermore, she maximizes customer lifetime value by using reinvestment in multi-brand cross-pollination. She funds new ventures entirely out of organic revenue from her previous successes and cross-promotes her beauty, personal care, and fashion lines to the exact same dedicated audience base. Despite often being publicly associated with high-profile figures such as her former rapper boyfriend Lil Baby, Jada has strategically used marketing to establish an independent personal brand, transforming her social media influence and entrepreneurial ventures into a business empire that stands completely on its own. So today, women in marketing are not only shaping brand strategy, but are increasingly becoming the brands themselves through social media and digital entrepreneurship. Black women in particular continue to drive cultural trends and consumer behavior, proving that their influence extends far beyond the products they buy to the conversations and markets we create. Well, that's all for today. I hope you all liked it. I love marketing, especially the ads that show Black people in a sophisticated light or just do a good job displaying the many facets of Black life. I especially want to highlight the world building that speaks to me in marketing and the brilliant Black women behind it. What current marketing trends or ads speak to you? Which influencers do you think do a great job of selling products to you in an authentic or creative way? Matter of fact, which important Black woman in marketing did I leave out? Let me know down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.